Welcome to the Deal by Me podcast, where we ask guests to tell us your story. Hello there, this is Dr. James W. Smith, your host. We seek to transform lives by encouraging and inspiring. Someone encouraged and inspired this host, a former lawyer, gambler, inmate, and his life was transformed. The same can happen to you. So when you listen to any of the Deal by Me podcast, please support this podcast with a donation or a monthly recurring amount for as little as $3. If you're viewing any of the podcast on YouTube, please subscribe. To supporters of this podcast, we say thank you. Check out my encouraging, inspiring, and transforming books. I'm available for speaking engagements, in person and virtual seminars. So please contact me through my website, www.dealbyme.com. I have with me Jeaneen Tang, who is a speech language pathologist. She specializes in early language development and has a passion for training parents, caregivers, and other educators on how to best address the needs of young children with learning to understand and express themselves. Her goal is to shake up how we approach language development. I'm excited to have Jeanine come and be a part of this podcast. And so, Jeanine, again, I want to welcome you and to just ask if you will share with listeners a little about yourself and where you are located as the interview is being conducted.
Great. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm in Los Angeles, California right now, but I'm originally from Honolulu, Hawaii. I moved here in 2005, and I've been doing speech therapy since 2001. I worked in the school districts in Hawaii for 4 years and then in Los Angeles for 4 years and switched over to early intervention around 2010. I have a son that was born in 2012, and unfortunately, he had a accident and became disabled when he was 13 months old. So I am a speech therapist and also a mother of a disabled child.
Okay, well, Janine, I am very excited about your profile. I've read it, and it really falls right into what I do, to give encouragement, hopefully inspire, and to hopefully transform lives. And your profile is right in line with what I try to uh, show as I move forward with my podcast. So let me ask you a couple of questions that I think you will be able to answer. The first thing I want to know is kind of what inspired you to move into this direction. Was it your child who was uh, had special needs? Is that the main reason you decided to go in the direction that you went into, or that you're already doing, or was it some other thing?
Yeah. So, I was a speech therapist for 23 years now, so much longer than my son has been alive.
Okay.
And it really, when I think back, it really goes back to when I was about 8 years old. My grandfather was ill with lung cancer. He ended up passing away. But I remember during that time feeling very helpless because I wanted to do more for him. It was a man I loved dearly. I looked up to him. And being 8 years old, you can only do so much. So
Mm.
it really sparked this desire and need to help people. And, growing up, I thought maybe I want to be a teacher.
Mhm.
In high school, I started playing sports, and I thought, physical therapy could have been a physical therapist could have been someone that could have helped my grandfather. So maybe going into some kind of therapy. And when I was going to college, I knew that in order to be a physical therapist, I would need a graduate degree. So I
Mhm.
got my undergraduate degree in something else I love, which is English literature with a minor in creative writing. And when it came time to apply to grad school, someone had mentioned, have you thought about speech therapy? Because I had done some performance speeches in high school and college. And when I thought about it, I thought, well, that kind of really aligns with the path that I've already been going on,
Hmm.
speaking and language and incorporating that. And I was finishing my undergraduate degree up in Oregon at Pacific University, and I looked at the University of Hawaii, where I'm from, and they had a graduate program for speech therapy. So I thought it was really perfect because I could go home to Hawaii, go to grad school there, and then continue on with my career in Hawaii. And at the time, and even currently, there's such a shortage of speech therapists in the public schools and everywhere, actually, that the public school system in Hawaii said, we will give you guys a stipend if you guys work for us for 3 years. So it was pretty much a guaranteed job, as long as you graduate and have good grades and are able to work in that field for 3 years in the schools. They gave me enough money to cover graduate school. So I did not exit grad school with a lot of loans at all, which was great for me.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and so I was really happy I went down that path.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. So then I think you've already kind of s- given us some information as to why you became a speech language pathologist. It's had a lot to do with your ill father. And of course, obviously, when your child was born, it was fell right in place because you could continue to use it. So I understand that and feel it very well. But I note also that you've written a book. So can you tell listeners what your book is about and why did you decide to write the book?
Absolutely. My book is called Play, Dumb, and Sabotage.
Hmm.
And it's a term that I would use for many, many years with teachers, parents, anybody I was training, because play dumb and sabotage kind of encompasses the idea of we do too much for our children. We do too much for our students. We over anticipate what they might need or want. And so by doing too much for them, we're actually doing them a disservice. They're not actually able to naturally interact with their environment and learn language the way that they are meant to. And the subtitle of the book is to mindfully under anticipate the child's needs and create opportunities to practice language. So it's not like, oh, don't do anything for the child. Know what the child might need or want, but then
Okay.
mindfully hold back from doing it for them and
Okay.
let them give that opportunities for them to try and engage in their environment. And then the
Oh,
sabotage part is just about practicing, right?
okay.
So if we're going to do like sports, we would practice repetition, repetition until we got better at it. It's the same thing with learning a language or any other skill.
Well, I hear that and I appreciate you sharing that. Dealing with what you do, I'm curious as to why do you think so many children need speech therapy? Is there something within you that that has made you come to that conclusion?
Yeah. So my hypothesis, my theory about why so many more children these days need speech therapy is the parenting skills and styles, right? So
Okay.
we as parents, I'm a parent and I've been guilty of it in the past where I want to make sure my child is fed and warm and has lots of toys. And I want to show that I'm a good parent by getting everything ready that they might possibly need or want.
Hmm.
And we don't want our child to cry, right? So we don't want them to be uncomfortable. So we tend to their needs before the child even can realize that they need or want anything. And so the child is learning to be taken care of rather than indicating that they have a need or a want.
Hmm.
And by doing so, we don't give that child the opportunity to naturally indicate they want something or need something. And as parents, we think we're doing a really great job because we're tending to all of their needs, but we're actually, like I said, doing them a disservice by not letting them make choices or not letting them indicate they want something or need something. Like even when my child wasn't able to speak yet, when I get would get him dressed in the morning, I would ask him, "Do you want to wear the red shirt or the blue shirt?" And I would
Hmm.
hold it about shoulder width apart So even if he couldn't say the words, he would maybe look at one of them, right? And then
Hmm.
I would say, "Oh, let's wear the red shirt today. I love red. Red is the color of strawberries." And, to kind of give that also layer other language on top of that as well. So, that is part of the reason why there are so many kids that need speech therapy because we want to be really good parents and
Hmm.
caregivers, and we haven't let that child practice and learn how to communicate on their own.
Hmm. I love that. I'm sitting here thinking about what you do, and I guess it's interesting because I'm trying to figure out what you would say to somebody listening to this podcast who maybe could have a special needs child, or they could have something else that they're maybe dealing with or trying to accomplish. And y- I see where you, as you talk, have accomplished so much in terms of what you wanted to do. If somebody out there listening to this podcast and who's going through these kind of I guess what I would kind of call uh not turmoils, but at least there's some struggles. We're trying to figure out what their next step might be. What would you say to them that would be encouraging, maybe inspiring, and hopefully maybe transforming? Is there something that you would say to them?
Absolutely. So, you know, going back a little bit, so there are children who are normal developing that
Hmm.
probably wouldn't need speech therapy if they could learn some great strategies. But there are also children who have disabilities and all these differences that they will definitely need speech therapy. And as a parent, it is difficult to admit or kind of allow the thought that my child needs help or that I can't do enough for my child in order to develop them to where they need to be. So I would say for any parent who has struggles with a child that's learning or
Hmm.
isn't learning, um, to realize that you don't know what you don't know. And there are specialists out there because they are trained in order to teach your child and you. You aren't equipped with everything that you need to know to raise your child, to develop your child. So it is okay to, you know, let go of the ego and the thought that maybe you're not doing the best that you can and reach out for help, whether it be through your pediatrician as a referral or through like for us in Los Angeles, it's the Department of Health that funds the regional center, right? So you want to reach out
Hmm.
to the early intervention centers and get your child tested.
Okay.
Also, you know, if your child is school age by then and you haven't reached out for help, reach out to your local schools and then they can get your child tested and connect you with great therapists.
Okay. That's good. That's good advice. Listeners, we're having a great conversation with Jeaneen. So please don't go in place because at least allow me to ask Jeanine to share with us how we can get more information on her, how we can contact uh, a website on her, or get her books. Anything that she wants to share to us would be helpful. So, Jeanine, would you do that at this time?
Sure. Everybody can connect with me on my website. It's playdumandsabotage.com. I'm also on Instagram at Play Dumb and Sabotage, and my personal one is JT808. I would love to connect with your listeners. There is a free PDF uh, worksheet on my website if they want to download basic strategies on how to incorporate how to play dumb and sabotage throughout the child's day. Offering choices, uh, things like clapping out syllables is really helpful, and other things that they might find useful.
Thank you so very much. I'm, I guess I'm smiling because of your title, Play, Dumb, and Sabotage. What, what was it that made you come up with that particular title? Curious.
Yeah, so it was a term I used for
Hmm.
many, many years. And,
Okay.
children love to be smarter than us, right?
Uh-huh.
So it also helps, one example of playing dumb is if I ask a kid, oh, does a dog say meow? They'll be like, oh, that's not right.
Oh, I got
Or,
you.
yeah, so you kind of play dumb yourself to kind of engage them.
Okay.
I used to put my son's pants on my head, you know, and
Uh-huh.
instead of putting it on his body, and then kind of to engage him and build that rapport and have him question, like, what is she doing? You know,
Okay.
I might,
Okay.
if I'm looking at a book, like a picture book with a child, I might point to a lion and say, oh, is that a giraffe? And to
Hmm.
kind of be like, oh, wait, they're like, no, that's not a giraffe. It's a lion, kind of play dumb. So it kind of
Okay.
engages them.
I like
And
that.
yeah. And then also, simple things like if a kid says juice, I'm like, yep, that's juice. When
Uh-huh.
I know that they want juice, right? I'm trying to play
Okay.
dumb so that
Okay.
they encourages them to ask for more juice or juice, please, or I want
Hmm.
juice, to kind of encourage them that they need to communicate a little bit more. And the sabotage part of it is the repetition and practice. So a great example is like during snack time. As a parent, you might give a child a whole bowl of goldfish.
Hmm.
When if you just gave them two goldfish and had the rest of the goldfish in sight but out of reach, it would create an opportunity for them to sign for more or verbalize more or indicate that they wanted more goldfish. And then you give them a couple more goldfish, and
Hmm.
then it's repetition over and over again. That's simple sabotage. And then another thing you could do is have a toy that they love in sight but out of reach where they need to indicate that they want that toy. Or when
Hmm.
you're doing bubbles, when you blow the bubbles go away and you need to ask for more in order to do it again. So it's
Okay.
creating opportunities for them to practice language and finding ways to naturally sabotage their day in order to get them to communicate more and more.
Okay, I got you. That's very, very interesting. I like that. What else, what are the top strategies parents can start implementing with their, young children to help with language development? Are there anything particularly?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when children are learning how to speak, I
Hmm.
like to add music to everything because
Okay.
language comes from the left side of the brain and the music, it comes from the right side of the brain. So when you incorporate them together, it helps to solidify what is understood and what you can express. So you singing nursery rhymes together is great. Adding
Hmm.
that physical, the wheels on the bus, and there's hand motions for all of the different verses.
Hmm.
When I'm teaching words, I might clap out syllables because it lets them hear the word, and also they can visually see the parts of
Hmm.
the word by me clapping or tapping. One thing I like to do is tell my parents and caregivers to don't ask a yes no question unless you're ready to honor that no,
Mm.
because we often will ask a kid, are you ready to work? Are you ready
Hmm.
to clean up? Are you ready to eat? Are you ready to go to bed? So
Right.
we're asking them all these yes, no questions. And if they say no, we don't honor that no, then what is their words? What is their no really worth, right?
Mm.
So instead of asking a yes no question, when you want them to actually do something, I might say, okay, we're going to read a book and do a puzzle. Which one do you want to do first? So I'm
Mm.
showing them a couple things. So we're going to, it's not like, oh, do you want to read a book or do you want to do a puzzle? It's like, we're
Hmm.
going to do these two things. Which one do you want to pick first? Or instead of saying, do you want to eat an apple? Do you want to have a banana? Do you want crackers? And you're going to hear No, 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 no. And you're going to be pulling out all these items
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to, for things to eat. You can ask them, do you want to have an apple or banana? And
Mm.
then, oh, they're going to pick one of them, right? Or we're going to do some coloring. Do you want to do color with red or blue? So
Mm.
instead of say, do you want to use red? Do you want to use blue?
Mm-hmm.
Or, when my son is getting ready for bed, I said, we're going to go to sleep soon. Do you want to brush your teeth first or change into pajamas first? So he knows we're going to go to bed, going to pick one of those things, and we're going to do the other one afterwards. But it kind of helps with, the child feeling that they're part of that
Mm.
decision-making process. They kind of feel like they're in power. And it also helps with compliance, right? It helps the child cooperate better when they're offered choices rather than being told what to do or being asked yes no questions and then they say no and you still want them to do it.
I love it. I love it. This is exciting, Jeaneen. This is it is amazing how you're doing this. I never thought about that, to give these kind of choices because it seems like that's what it is, rather than having a yes or no answer. And they will obviously pick one of those, and that's going to be a plus.
Yeah.
I love that. I love what you're doing. So tell me, what do you hope to accomplish if more people read your book? What is it that you're looking for? You hope they get from it?
I hope that we can really decrease the number of children that need speech therapy
Okay.
because I think that there's such a lack in parent training and caregiver, even educator training. I see a lot of kids at a preschool, and a lot of the preschool teachers aren't really taught the nuances of language development and
Hmm.
different strategies. And by providing training and opportunities for people to know these strategies, they're very simple. It could really give them that toolbox to use. And, we have birth training, right? When we have
Right.
babies, you get
Hmm.
to learn what to do when you give birth and how to diaper a baby, how to give a bottle to a baby. But after that, there's so little training available. And a lot of parents, they don't know what they don't know. And if they have their first child, then, they want to take care of their child so well that they're actually doing the child a disservice.
Okay.
And I would love for every new parent, every educator to be able to pick up the book and read it and apply it. And it's made for everybody. Like it's not
Okay.
just for children with disabilities, it's made for the normal developing child. Any new parent should read it so they know like what to do as their child is getting a little bit older.
Hmm.
And I would love for it to be in the hands of every parent and caregiver if possible.
Oh, wow. Wow. So do you do any workshops, training, anything of that nature to individuals? And if you do, how do you do that? Are you doing it on Zoom, or you have some kind of program that people can plug into?
Yeah, right now I'm building that program, the online program, but I do
Okay.
face-to-face trainings locally in Los Angeles right now.
Okay. Okay.
I've done some at the YMCA and at the preschools. I would love to be reached out to speak online.
Right.
I'm going to be
Okay.
doing a conference with another group in the spring. So I'll be
Hmm.
posting events on my website,
Okay.
and I would love to be, I'm giving myself a year to be on a TED Talk. That's like
I
my huge goal.
I got you. I got you. So tell me, if as last question I ask you, what drives you to be better every day? Because I'm listening to you. You're exciting, very amazing with what you do, and I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, this is awesome. You're doing a great service to so many. We don't think about it, doing a lot that you're doing in terms of even my podcast. I never thought about having someone like you on it. But then when I saw your profile, I said, this is exactly something that I think would just be awesome for listeners. And so, what drives you to be better every day?
Besides my son, my son is amazing. He does,
Hmm.
he's 12 years old now and he still has disability, obviously, but he is such an amazing child. And to see him develop and progress is
Hmm.
really the backbone of what I do, but
Okay.
also working with the kids that I work with, seeing them go from being basically nonverbal to having these short conversations and getting the feedback from their parents about, oh, they went to a birthday party and they were talking to another kid or adult and having a great conversation, like getting that kind of feedback about
Okay.
how these children are progressing really just continues to, you know, fuel my fire and my desire and passion to continue to do as much as I can. And,
Awesome.
through my book, hopefully, because I'm only one person, right? But through
Hmm.
the book, hopefully we can duplicate the knowledge and strategies that I have.
Hmm.
And, it's a conversational book. Anybody can read it. It's not textbook. It's very simple. After every chapter, there is applicable exercises that they can
Hmm.
use right away. So
Okay. I love it. Jeanine, you have been awesome. I really appreciate this discussion with you today, and I'm wishing you lots of success and hope things go well with you because this is what you're doing is amazing and very worthwhile. And so I want you to know how much I do appreciate it so very, very much. And there you have it. Jeaneen Tang sharing with us today. And until next time, peace and blessings be with each of you.